Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jaywalker. Today, a ghost story for a Saturday. And today's ghost story is going to be another one that, kind of like Emo's grave from back when, is going to be one that's kind of pulled into a cemetery story as well. Today, on the Jaywalker, we are covering Flo's grave, Ogden City Cemetery. Come take a walk with me. This, my friends, is the grave of Florence Louise Grange, commonly known here around these parts as Flo's grave. So, Florence Louise Grange, commonly, as I mentioned, commonly known as Flo's grave. So the story is with this particular tombstone. If you come at night, there's a road that leads almost directly right in front of her headstone coming from the west. Her headstone faces west. And if you come, the story is, as I mentioned, if you come up, pull up, flash your lights at the headstone, there is, so some stories have it as a green mist, an orb, spirit come in, some people have even reported, an actual apparition puts her hands up on your window, that comes out of the grave, out of the stone. That's the story. Now, I've never done this, but I've heard people, or at least of people who have. Well, that's kind of the ghostly legend of things, kind of the stories of how and why she died, and there's two major theories behind it, and we'll go into these right now. So the first one is that after a school dance, that she was waiting for her date to pick her up at the curb, and was hit by a car while she was waiting. Now, looking at the research and some of the other things, seems fairly unlikely. She died in 1918, where cars were not as readily available or affordable, for that matter, for a lot of people. So there was a good chance that at least in my opinion, that there's some doubts cast on this. Now, one automotive caveat to this was Flo's father was an automotive mechanic, one of the first in Utah, definitely one of the first up in Weber County, the Ogden area. But again, this is probably an unlikely scenario for this to happen. Second theory is that she choked on a piece of candy. But again, time of death for her, looking at her death certificate, was at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would say that most likely kids aren't going to be up eating candy at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, looking at some of the research that's been done on this, I can almost say with certainty that the leading theories, the leading stories about the death of Florence Louise Grange are wrong. Looking at her death certificate and also her obituary, we find kind of a different story. First off, so with some of the things that we find, she didn't go by Flo. She went by her middle name, Louise. One of the big things is, shortly before she passed away, there was an article that listed her as part of the high school volleyball team there in Ogden. Secondly, her obituary does make note of her as Louise and not Flo. So that's one of the big things. And as I mentioned just previously, her obituary, or her death certificate, has her time of death at 5 o'clock in the morning. with cause of death being like cardiac arrest, possibly due to influenza. She died in 1918. Spanish flu was running rampant, and Utah was very, very hard hit. So that was a good possibility that she died because of the Spanish flu. So that is kind of the story behind Florence Louise Grange, Flo's grave. Now, as I mentioned, I have not ever done the ghostly legend where you come and flash your lights at the grave. I haven't done it. I lived in Ogden for a number of years. Didn't, I kind of heard about it, and I don't think I ever really went searching for a grave. Wasn't a big thing, but like I mentioned, I hadn't done it then, and here 14, 15 years later, I still haven't gone back up to do it. I don't spend a whole lot of nights out running around, especially up in Ogden. I do live quite a ways away from there, but also the Ogden City Police do patrol the area fairly regularly. But have you done it? Have you checked out Flo's grave? Thanks for joining with me today. If you have, leave me a comment. If you like what you see, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. Join me again. We'll see you soon.